This session will go over how to create a sample entry screen for manually entering in sample data. But first we're going to go over to the client and we're going to enter in a definition. I'm going to right click on the definitions here, hit add. I'm going to go ahead and select auto approval and I'm going to put in level. And we'll take 4 samples. And I'm going to add an attribute. And we're going to say H2O level. And it's required. We'll say it's a real. And this is fine. And we'll just leave default value and min value and max value blank. I'm also going to add another attribute just so we can see what it looks like with a couple attributes. And we'll make that one a real as well and just leave those settings in there. Now I have to set a location, so I'll right click on the locations, click add, and we will say the water temp location, and it will just be a manual entry right now. And because we have multiple measurements, I'm going to select X bar lower control limit and X bar upper control limit, and we'll evaluate Nelson Rule 3. And I'm going to save that. Now going back over to the designer, click on Window, create a new window. First, we'll put in a location selector. Put a quick item in here that says location, just so we remember that. And we'll put one in for definition also. And then we'll have a definition selector. So the location will select our location we want. This will select the definitions that are available at that location. So this needs to know the location. So here we see a property location path. We're going to bind to the location selector selected location path. So the way this is going to work, when I go into preview and I select water temp, there's level, that the definition that we had added. Now I'm going to take and put a sample entry component in. And we're going to need some buttons as well. This one will be add. So that will add a new sample and will allow us to edit the measurements for it. So I'll right click on there, go to event handlers, action perform, and we're going to have some script in here. So we first need a definition name. So we'll create a variable, and we have our definition selector. So I'll go to properties, definition selector, and selected definition name. So that will get our definition name that we want. And we also need the location path. So we'll create a variable, go to a property, location selector, selected location path. So that gets that for us. So now we need to create a new sample, and we just use scripting. So system and then press dot and control space. We can go down to quality, sample, data, and we can say create sample by name. And it takes three parameters. The first one we can just leave blank. The second one is the definition name, and the third one is the location path. We should probably check to make sure that the sample was created successfully. And if it isn't, then we should display a message box. Otherwise, we should be good to go. And then we're going to go to our sample entry component that I put on the screen. And we are going to select the sample property. And we're going to make that equal to our new sample that we created in this line here. We're going to come back in here and add a couple things, but for right now that will be good. We're going to add a save button. And also probably, and I'm going to rename that actually. Okay. And also I'll put it above it, cancel button. I'm going to rename this as well. I'm going to go back into the script here. I can also get to that script by double clicking on it. So once I click add, I don't want to add another one. So we'll go to the button add. That's why I renamed them. And I'll just select enabled equals 0. So that will disable the add button. Then we go to the button cancel, enabled. We want to actually have that enabled. And we want to do the same thing for the button save, enabled. Okay, we're going to go into cancel. And it's pretty straightforward. We're going to select our sample entry and our sample. And we'll just set that to none. That will cancel it out. But we also have to take care of our buttons here. So I will do that quickly here. Then we'll go in and add our script for saving it. So the first thing we want to do is go to the sample entry component. And we're going to run a method on there that doesn't exist in this list, so we're going to go ahead and just select the name. Then we're going to back up and say save. And we have the option for 2 parameters, and it's in the documentation, but basically product code, and we can have another reference number. Then we're going to clear out that sample entry, just like we did in cancel. So after it saves, it will clear out. And then we need to take care of our buttons. So we want to re-enable the add button. I'll do this quickly. Okay, that should take care of the script on our sample entry window. I'm going to save that. And if we run, this part we saw worked before. And if I hit add, we had 4 measurements. We had our H2L level and we had our temperature, and it automatically created that for us. And we can enter in some sample data quickly. We notice that the add button was disabled. We have cancel and save here. And that added a sample. Add another one quickly. And save. And we can test our cancel button. That works as well. Now going back to our control chart, if I select level, there's the 2 sample data points that I just put in. So we can see it was fairly easy to create a generic sample screen where you select the location and the test that you want and enter the data.